So there are some major benefits that intact ecosystems can have for public health. You know, there's some that we know very well. For example, watershed management and intact ecosystems that provide fresh drinking water. This is a case for New York City, for example, where the cat protection of the Catskill watershed has led to very clean water for New York, and they don't need a water treatment facility. Newer evidence is looking at intact forests, for example, in the Amazon and in Africa. We asked the question in the Amazon region, where malaria has been on the rise, could this be related to a change in the ecosystems? There's a lot of logging that's been happening in a region where malaria was increasing, and many scientists believe that it was just people moving into the areas, and that the dangerous mosquito, Anopheles darlingi, is attracted to people. It's anthropophilic, it loves people, and it was just simply a matter of human density increasing. But at the same time, parallel to the increased number of people coming in, you had more and more deforestation. And we asked the question, could the change in landscape in the Amazon actually be a contributing factor to the rise of malaria? And we sampled for mosquitoes in various locations that had either intact forest or partially deforested areas or completely clear-cut regions. What we found was that in forested locations, there was very few numbers of the dangerous mosquito that carries malaria. But in deforested locations, we found this mosquito, Anopheles darlingi, to be quite numerous, even after controlling for human population density. And what we concluded was that deforestation, this ecological disturbance, changes the biodiversity of mosquito species such that the increased risk of malaria is a result. When horses started dying, and also people started dying of Hendra virus in Queensland, Australia, it was subsequently found out to be a bat-borne Hendra virus as the culprit. But the question was, why did it happen in certain time and place? And what research has found is that by cutting down the natural winter feeding trees for these fruit bats because of agricultural development in Queensland, the bats have been forced to move into different locations where we have fruit trees, and many of these are in city parks, and the bats have no choices since we've destroyed much of the natural ecology. And because of that disturbance, you have had an increased density of fruit bats co-locating with humans and with horses as one of these ecological drivers of an emerging disease like Hendra virus. In the case of another pertinent disease that's on everyone's mind right now, Ebola virus, there's an ecological link as well, as humans are intruding natural ecosystems, going into the jungle, and of course there's spillover from virus from non-human primates, or in the case of Ebola, it's suspected to be fruit bats from bushmeat trade. That there's that type of ecological disturbance is something that is of concern. There are other aspects of disturbing natural systems when we build reservoirs and build dams for irrigation or for power generation. Often we change the landscape and we increase the water table, and that can provide breeding sites for diseases, for mosquitoes that carry diseases like filariasis, elephantiasis, schistosomiasis. These are diseases that are linked to changes in water table and irrigation ditches, which of course are the habitat for snails as an intermediate host of schistosomiasis. So when we use these water projects, we only think of the water for irrigation and the water for power generation, and we forget that we can disturb the natural system and end up with increase in diseases. And so when we do anything as far as a development project, we need to be thinking about the links between the environment and disease.